If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Andrea Vallely. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Andrea is the co-creator for Shift Happens for Teens, an award-winning blogger, and has appeared regularly on CBS 12 as a leading mindset expert in various radio stations and podcasts. She has been coaching for almost 2 decades and works with CEOs, teams, teens, and offers retreats. So it's so exciting that you're here with me.
Thank you. I feel the same about being here with you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, it's just near and dear to my heart. I have 2 kids. I have an 8-year-old, soon to be 9, and 11-year-old, soon to be 12. And so I know you're working with teens, but I feel like they're almost there. You know, it's like they're in that.
Definitely.
State.
Yeah.
Do you have kids
definitely.
yourself?
I do. I have a 19-year-old, a girl,
Okay.
a 19-year-old daughter. Yeah.
So what inspired you to give yourself to these teens?
Well, it was interesting because it wasn't planned. I've always loved kids. I love little nuggets. And I see like somebody's 20 and I'm like, oh, you're a little nugget, you know?
Oh,
that's what happens. But
the 20-year-olds look
right,
so
they're
young
like,
to me now.
I know.
They
They're like,
do.
okay, weird lady.
Yeah. I know. I'll go up to kids like working out and I'll be like, I'm so happy that you're here taking care of yourself.
Right. They're
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
I know. I'm totally the same. So, I work with my husband and we had been coaching together for years and doing retreats and different things like that. And it was like one of those things where a couple of our clients said to us, and you hear it once, you hear it twice, you hear it 3 times, and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to listen. So there had just been this repetitive, like, oh, I wish that you could show my kid what you're showing me. Do you ever do retreats for teens? That kept coming up. So the 3rd time it came up, I was like, you know what? Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Thank you, universe,
yes,
for giving people the message to give to you.
Totally. So we created, it was initially a weekend for teens. And we literally just took what we were sharing with adults and shifted stories that were relatable to teens because the information is universal. Getting to, home base is universal. So we just went on that route. Like, okay, well, what do we share normally? And then how do we speak to a teenager? And what happened was, one of the kids that came, his dad was, the VP of one of the charter school companies in Florida.
Okay.
And he and his wife is a psychologist, and they called us after and they said, would you be willing to meet for coffee? We want to talk to you. And we were like, sure. So they said, this has to be in schools. They were so excited about what they saw with their son and what they had learned about the program. So we wrote a curriculum, and then COVID hit, like literally 2 days after I submitted the curriculum, 2 days. So when that happened, the psychologist, the woman said to me, why don't you create it into little 20-minute videos so that it could still be released? So it's so funny because she doesn't ever remember saying that, which cracks me up because I still talk to her all the time. And I'm like, you don't remember saying that, do you? But that was our
channeled.
Totally. She does not remember saying it. It's hilarious. But that was like our moment to, oh, wait a second, like this doesn't just have to be for the schools. This can actually be in the world. So we created an 8-module program that is easily accessible online. It comes with like a little workbook. And also there's programming for the parents in there as well. And we created online support, like this whole thing, but it literally came from a conversation. And everything happened organically. We had no plans of making anything like this. We are not tech savvy people, but it was like everything kind of fell into place because I'd had TV experience. I knew producers that could come in and make it look really nice, so that because we didn't know, who do you get a camera? How do you hire somebody? We didn't know those things. But it was interesting because we had all the pieces in place. One of my best friends writes curriculum. So she helped us, like when now it's not in that format, but initially when it was in that format, I'm like, I don't know how to write a curriculum that you would submit to a school, but it was like all of the pieces that we needed were there to help us. It was really amazing. So that's what happened. And now we are putting it to like anybody can actually access this program because we realized, first of all, it's not so easy to get it into school systems because they have so many rules and regulations on their timing and how much time they allot to things, and their schedules are so full. So it's not an easy place to penetrate. So we wanted to make it very easily accessible where that anybody could afford it, anybody could get the coaching that they needed. So that's the way that we've created it today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with schools, they even have requests for proposals. You have to submit an RFP and then they have to allocate funding. And a lot of times they have the same program where they allocate funding. So getting new programs in, it's like crazy. So that's wonderful that you're able to offer it to everyone. Was there an aha moment that kind of changed the direction that you were going? Or was that the story you just shared?
Well, that was really it in that aspect. It was like, how many times am I going to have somebody ask me to create something
that was
for
your
kids?
aha, right?
Like how many times is this going to happen? And then I ended up coaching kids. So now I have a coaching program like it's for one-on-one coaching with teens, but I had never even thought of it before. It just wasn't something that that even occurred to me to do. But it's so interesting because it's truly no different working with kids and adults as far as the content. The content is the same. And I do find that with most kids, they get it a lot quicker than adults because we've got so much contaminated thinking, so much programming, so many conditioned thoughts. And it's, it takes really making an effort and a decision to look in this direction because the world doesn't the world that you and that we're talking about that your listeners are in supports it, but most of the world, it's not a supportive conversation. It's a very different conversation. So I find it's really joyful to work with kids because I do think most of the time they just seem to like wake up to it a little bit quicker. Like I remember I had this one kid, he was like 13 and I was seeing him, just one-on-one, and it was like our second or third session. It was very early in, and he came in and he goes, "Oh, I can't believe this." I said, "What?" And he goes, "It's been my imagination the whole time." And I said, "Yeah, that's it. We are imagining everything. And then we hang our hat on what looks real and true to us and march around with those conditions."
That's so beautiful. And that, I mean, that would just bring tears to my eyes that he had that awakening, that awareness that actually he could probably teach adults now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
people the teens that you teach, they should be like, inspirational speakers, right?
Honest to God, I'll tell you a very quick story. We do retreats, and we were doing this retreat, and this one girl came with her family. So she came to the retreat But her husband and her daughter, I think her daughter was like 5 or 6 at the time, were doing their own thing. They didn't actually attend the sessions, but they came, it's at a resort. So, they were doing their own thing. So anyway, we give out snow globes as a reminder because, our mind can be like a very messy snow globe, but just like when you turn a snow globe over and just settle it down, it naturally, all the snow in the snow globe settles, right? So that's a metaphor for our mind. When we quiet down, our mind settles. So
Beautiful.
one of our little gifts is a snow globe. So the mom was explaining the snow globe to her 5-year-old. So she called me a couple weeks later and she says, I have to tell you this. She said, my daughter, she said, I was in a tizzy, and she said, my daughter grabbed the snow globe and brought it over to me and said, Mommy, you're snow globing. Let your snow globe settle. She was about 5 or 6. Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
I love it.
Yeah,
They are our teachers. That's so
totally.
amazing.
Yeah.
And what about for your own teenager? So you have a teenager now.
Yeah.
How was your dynamic growing up? Do you have a lot of material for helping other teens?
Well, it's interesting. I always say like my daughter came out of the womb an attorney. Like she just, that's how she came out of the womb. Like there was like no playing in the dirt. Like she was like boom, boom, boom. Very different than me because like I'm off with the fairies.
Okay.
So that was really interesting. Now, what's so interesting is now actually during COVID, everything changed for her. She had like this total wake up. She's super, super artistic. Now she's actually in school for photography. But it was a total change. She was always wanted to be an attorney. But what was interesting with her was that she's always been, shall I say, a very easy kid. And I'm guessing, my husband always says, well, she grew up with us now, even though he's not her dad. And her dad is very
It's her
different.
stepdad.
It's
So
her
it was her
stepdad.
stepdad. Yeah.
But,
But
she still grew up with him. I mean,
yeah, like
it's been
how
10 years.
old was she when
She was
married him?
10.
Oh,
She was
10.
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she was always very self-sufficient, and I think that's always been her nature. But it was really neat because even though, and with your own kids, you can't shove anything down their throat. Like you cannot shove anything down their throat because when it comes from mom and dad, it's a whole different story, right? But kids learn what they live, not so much what you teach them. So I think, she saw us having these conversations. We're big geeks. We're always studying and learning. Our happy Friday night is like, do you want to watch Next Level Soul? Or, like we're doing some sort of like Michael Singer, 9-week course or something, because that's a joy for us.
Yeah.
So she saw that. And I remember one day, she was about maybe 15 or 16. And she was like, it was in the morning. She must have been 15 because I was still driving her to school. And she was like, Mom, she had this big dilemma about something for school. And she asked me what to do. And I said to her, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Why don't you finish getting ready? Just breathe. Try to let your mind settle down and see what you come up with. Well, we got in the car and she had an answer. So I've always encouraged her to see that she has the same wisdom that I do, that she has access to the same infinite possibilities that I do, and how to tap into that. Now, I can't say that all the time. However, she knows to do that first, and she knows that she has everything that she needs within her, that she doesn't have to go outside of herself looking for those answers. Now her wisdom might tell her to call somebody or get online and Google something, but that was something that that was sort of easy to teach her because it wasn't coming from a like teaching perspective. It wasn't coming from, this is the way you should do it. It was coming from well, why don't you, what do you think? And it's interesting because just a very simple, what do you think, helps kids see that they do have the answer and they have all the tools that they need within them.
Well, I also think it's empowering and it
Totally.
teaches independence and maybe interdependence, look inside, but like collaborate maybe with others.
Yeah.
That's so amazing because, my daughter, I'll just have to be honest, is very high strung. And, when I tell her to breathe, so I teach meditation and I do healing and, just like you say, your kids don't want to hear, but they'll see me doing this. And so her breathing is like,
Right. friend, of course.
I'm trying not to
She's your
laugh.
kid. I know. It's the universe having a good time with you.
Yeah, it's my spiritual boot camp.
Yeah.
And but see this whole thing that you're saying of like, okay, now what do you think? What do you think you should do? Or what is coming to you? I haven't really gotten into that space. So I really appreciate that advice. Because sometimes she'll just say, "Oh, I'm so bored, Mom." And I'm just like, boredom is a window to creativity.
You know what she's like in her head, right? She's like,
Yeah, give
oh,
me the middle finger or whatever, or swearing. Yeah, exactly. Or just not even like comprehending what that really means in
Yeah.
like reality.
I have to tell you
So,
something so funny, but I can't tell
okay.
you on the podcast.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh my God, you can't share it on the podcast? Oh, that's too bad.
It's personal for my daughter, and
It's too
I just
private.
can't.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Well, that's
you
nice
will
of you.
crack up because it's like samesies, but a little bit.
Wait.
She's 19, so
Okay. Yeah. No, that's very respectful of you to do that. No, I appreciate that. So, in general, with your clients, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see today for teens? Because I feel like they might have even greater challenges. It seems like going through COVID and
yeah.
technology and just everything.
It is. I sound like that lady that I thought I would never sound like, but here I am. It was so much easier when I was a kid because we did not have all these distractions. It's like if you had a hard time at school, maybe some girls were like, mean girls or whatever, you went home and like it ended, you know? But
Yeah.
now it follows you because social media is 24 hours a day. So I feel like it's interesting because there is a constituent of kids that don't bother. They may have an Instagram account, but they just post if they go on vacation or like it's not consuming to them. They've actually taken themselves off of social media and maybe they'll just have like one or two platforms. It's literally like just something to chit chat with their friends. Now, there's the other constituents of kids that are absolutely consumed by how many people are following, how many people are liking it. And it is they feel as though it's their identity. I feel like that is the biggest challenge because there is so much influence on social media and it's created to it like an addiction. It's created to be addictive. I even find myself and I'm like, oh my goodness, Andrea, what are you doing? I'm checking my emails, I'm checking my text messages and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. But then we get into our heads like, but if I'm not available, then I'm a horrible person. And, all this stuff. And if you comment and I don't say thank you, right? It's just this whole big mind craziness that is not serving us. And I think for teens, I don't know if it's even more difficult. I don't know because I see a lot with adults too. But as far as today in the world, I think it's a lot more challenging for teens to take themselves away from it and be okay. But the beauty of that is if they're willing to do that and they're willing to look within and see that they're actually already whole, no matter how many people like their post or how many people are following them or how popular they are. I mean, the truth is that's always been the case, pointing back to we're okay no matter what. We're okay no matter what. I just feel like there's a lot more distraction today than there was, when I was a kid.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, what do you think about some of those documentaries like Social Dilemma? I don't know if you've seen Childhood 2.0, some of
No, I
those.
didn't. I did see Social Dilemma, but no, I didn't see
Yeah.
Childhood
I mean, maybe
2.0.
it wasn't as widespread. It was just available on YouTube, but it's
Oh,
actually
okay.
very scary because it's talking about how with the teenage girls, if they don't send a naked picture, then the boys will like break up with them or like just crazy things that,
Yeah.
that you wouldn't even think are happening because they look so sweet and innocent, like they show these boys and they have this database of pictures of young girls, from the school, and they all shared it, and they all look like smart, like kind young boys. So, I mean, hello, I'm not saying that's happening everywhere, but it really opened up my eyes to the possibilities of what might be happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, that's heartbreaking. Again, the answer is always the same. We must lead by example as parents and point our kids back to their natural essence, their natural well-being. We use a metaphor, the foundational metaphor in our first module, that we are the diamond. Now, you've heard this metaphor, a diamond can't be broken, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, like, when you actually look at it and know that I am a diamond, I am perfectly perfect as I am. And what happens is we get a lot of contamination in our heads. So we call it poop because kids think poop is funny, right? So I told you, we got real creative with this. But it's true. It's like, it's the dirt that covers up our diamond. Our diamond gets buried, but it doesn't get buried by the world. It gets buried by what we believe in.
Yes.
So what we believing in is true. And when we see that our thoughts are transitory in nature, that a thought can't have meaning unless we give it meaning. And that was a really big thing for me. Like, anybody can say that, but when you really look at it and see, oh, that has no meaning. I am the meaning maker. That's super powerful. Like, when that is ingrained, that becomes super powerful, because then what you are looking at in your world, you see that you are the decider. So for instance, I think we get 11 million impressions per second that are available to us, but we take in 40. So what 40 are you taking in? You're taking in the 40 that you've been recycling over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about our mind. I thought you were talking about like your social media posts. I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Oh, no. I'm not that creative.
To social media.
I'm not that creative. But, like, what are we taking in? What are we taking in? And when we see, oh, there's other options, we give a lot of different metaphors. It's like being in the penthouse. In the penthouse, you can see everything. When you're in the basement, it's really dark and dingy. Well, that's our mind, So there's so many ways to wake our kids up to what's possible. And we want to do that because the majority of the world is pointing towards this, sort of, it looks like destruction to me, because it's taking away our beingness. It's pointing us towards getting all of our becoming satiated with things on the outside, and we'll always be spinning our tail. You and I both know that's not where the answers are. That's not even where our wholeness, happiness, or peace live.
Yeah. So what is your recommendation regarding social media? Because after I saw these movies, I was just like, oh, hell no social media.
I know.
You're not getting that. And even text messages, I'll monitor it and everything. But anyway, yeah. What's your recommendation for teens and parents?
I mean, it's so simple. I think you just have to limit it, even for yourself. Like, I find myself saying, like, at night, like, I'm at a certain time, if somebody texts me, like, after 8 or 9 o'clock, I'm out. It's not going to happen,
like, so setting those boundaries, even for yourself, and being that example.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. And I think you just have to be mindful of how much time am I spending on an electronic device versus how much time am I spending communicate, like, with people, or being in the world, or being in nature, or just being by myself in the quiet, taking a bath. It's like, how much time am I devoting to an instrument rather than, connection, even with self. And I think it's really important we've got to set the standard for our kids, because they're looking to us, even though they're going to fight us tooth and nail, they really do need our guidance. They need our guidance.
Yeah. That's such a good point, because my husband and we might be scrolling on our phones. And then if we're telling our child to get off their phones, it's just like a disconnect. Like, really? And then he might be sneaking it and then getting in trouble. And then, but yeah, what is the example? How are we being with this? And are we standing up for that truth in and of ourselves? Because I find that sometimes I can be inconsistent as well.
Yeah, it's not easy, because we are because of the world that we live in today. So we really do have to make a decision and make an effort and make it a priority. It's not so easy. I mean, you find you're going for coffee and you're checking your phone. It's like, we've got to make that effort.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I would love to shift our conversation just a little bit to talk about your own success, because you have a segment on CBS, and CBS is actually one of my clients in ergonomics. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, Paramount and CBS. But it's great. How did you end up with your own show?
So, well, I don't have my own show. I do a segment.
A segment.
So that was very,
I want to be, say the right words.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too much. Yeah.
No, but again, it's like everything organic, everything organic. I said to my husband, must be, I don't know, maybe about 6 years ago now, or 5 years ago. I had done radio, and I had a radio show called The Happy Hour, even though it was only a half hour.
Oh, that's so great.
Is that cute?
I love that name.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
cute. So my parent company is Spread Happy, so it was like in line with that. But I had just said to him, wouldn't it be cool? I'd love to do TV. I'd never done TV before, and I just thought it would be cool. So about 6 months later, I'm going to meet a client, actually, just to give her some paper, literally, like she wanted to do the Enneagram. I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram. But
I am familiar with it. Yes. It's
long,
very
long
sophisticated.
Yes. Yes. So I had the long, crazy version, and I'm like, okay, well, she lived near this hotel in the little town that we live in. So, and I would always meet people in the coffee shop. I said, I'll meet you in the coffee shop. And, so I met her in the coffee shop. She had to run, but I saw a friend of mine, and he was actually the guy that had helped us set up our retreat at he ran a bunch of Opal properties. So he did all of he still does all of their PR. So he set us up at their property in Naples to do our retreats. And we've been doing our retreats there for about the past 7 years.
So that's Florida, Naples, Florida.
Yes, Naples, Florida. So I ran into him. He was in the coffee shop having lunch with this woman, Suzanne. So he introduced me to Suzanne, and we start chit-chatting, and he's like, oh my goodness, Suzanne, you would love what Andy and Lee do. You should totally go to their retreat. She'd love it. She says to me, what do you do? So I told her what we did. And she said, oh my God, I'd love to interview you. I said, fantastic. She hands me her card. It says CBS.
Yay!
She was the anchor at the time. And I went in and I did one segment, and they loved it. So they had me on every Monday. So that's how that happened.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're just gorgeous. You're beautiful inside and out. So I can totally see how radio to TV would be a natural progression, but also you manifested it because you had that desire, right?
Yeah.
And clarity. You said it to your husband. I want to get into TV.
Yeah. With nothing on it. I didn't pursue anything. I didn't put together a reel. I didn't, hire somebody to help me. Because again, I'm not very tech savvy, so I wouldn't even know how to do any of that. It was out in the universe without anything on it, just like it was like a wouldn't it be cool moment,
Yeah, but I think that is also a beauty too of just how you can manifest even faster. And that's like when I talk to my clients about letting go. Because you hadn't really taken any physical action, but you did do something. You did get out. You did about.
Yes, I was in the world, and also prepared, meaning
and have the confidence and knew you could do it, right?
Yes, yeah. So I had the understanding, that. So yeah, it's a very interesting balance. In creating, because again, like if you push, you can be creating a resistance and pushing something away. But it's that preparedness, so you're sort of ready for it, but you're not attached to anything.
Yeah. Because it's like you're really holding that space of service also, because I felt like in your being, you're like, oh, how can I serve more? How can I get my message across to even more people? And that's just such a beautiful place to come from, is your heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's totally how we feel. And that's why, our company is Shift Happens Global, because I see this, this understanding as a global understanding, and not global from me, just global in the world, and however way we can participate in that, fantastic,
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. So let's give some more gems to our audience about teens. How can teens experience more of their true, authentic self? And what is that? And what
Yeah,
is authentic
it's
self?
it's really seeing that we are okay as we are. It's knowing that no matter what, anything that we've labeled as an idiosyncrasy or makes me different, or I look different, or I come from a different background, or I don't have the same privileges as somebody else, seeing that that only matters if we make it matter. So if we can awaken from that, then we actually get to experience our true essence, and everything is possible. So like one of the modules is sort of living obstacles or illusions, that there really are no obstacles, that we create them in our life. And we've got so many examples of, if you just look at, the 4-minute mile, there was a time when it was said, oh, no human being can run a 4-minute mile. Well, the guy broke the 4-minute mile. Of course, his name escapes me at the moment,
But that's
but,
fine. But it's the
but
concept. Mm-hmm.
exactly. Now, many people broke the 4-minute mile. So it's this perception, it's this idea that we create our own limitations. So we want to point our kids back to the fact that there are no limitations. It doesn't make any sense to compare yourself to anybody else, because you're perfectly you no matter what. We're here having this magnificent human experience in this body with this particular situation for growth. And especially, you and I as parents, our kids, right? Like everyone is a mirror for us. So a lot of times we're learning so much from our kids. So whatever sort of resistance we have there, at least, for an adult, it's like, okay, well, where is that showing up in me? And truly, when we heal ourselves, we energetically heal the other person. So there's always just sort of this dance going on, I believe, between the parents and the kids. And that's why our program, it's so very important for parents to be involved, because a lot of times parents think, oh, my kid, it's my kid, they're driving me crazy. And it's like, oh, one moment, please. Let's look back. Let's look back and see, where is the parent's role in it. And it's not accusatory. It's a moment to wake up. It's an opportunity to wake up. Why are you laughing?
Accusatory. because I was going to say it's probably all the parents, but maybe there's like past lives or other things. I'm just like from a spiritual perspective, or maybe it's school. I don't know. But I feel like a lot of times the parents put things on their kids, expecting them.
Who leaves their ringer on? Me. Brilliant, right? Thank you very much. Go ahead. I never had my ringer on. Listen to me. I never had my ringer on. I was waiting for the printer to call me back. That's it. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Little comic relief.
Oh, yeah. That's fine. I guess I was in the flow, so I didn't even hear it, but that's okay. So I feel like sometimes as parents, we're putting our kids in this box. We want them to be a certain way, whether it be getting certain grades or being clean.
Yeah.
Taking showers. I was speaking from experience.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
And or clean up after yourself. It's like we're having these expectations because we think that they need to be a certain way, and then they're their own person. So it's like, how can we allow them and love them as they are, and in the meantime also heal our own wounds that we're projecting on them?
And that's what it looks like to me. I feel like whatever it is that we have this like little bit of fear about, oh, they're going to show up like that, so many times.
Yeah, whatever the fear is magnetized so that we can all heal.
Yes. So that's why it is so crucially important for the parents to take a part in it, because just like you said, when I said a lot of times it's the parents, and you said, oh, I think it's always the parents. Truly, it's like, you don't want to say that, but
well, yeah, well, luckily you didn't say it, so you're you're okay. Your parents are gonna be like,
right, but like kids learn what they live.
Don't want to get hired.
Right. Yes, ma'am. But truly, because we know Everything is energy, everything is vibration, and whatever we think, even on a subconscious level, always on a subconscious level, appears in our world to teach us. So they are literally everything that we're thinking. Like, it's probably your worst nightmare. My kid doesn't want to hop in the shower, and now your kid doesn't want to hop in the shower. It's like, right? Like, I know, believe me, I know. I'm living it too. It's like everything that subconsciously we fear, the world presents to us, because the fear is made up. The fear is not actually tangible. It is a belief that we're hanging on to. So that's why, it's so very important for parents to see, to be taught, to be open to the same thing that we're showing the kids, because it's universal. And when everybody is on the same page, they can learn and grow together. They have this language that they're using together. We make everything like symbolic and super simple. Because everything is a projection of how we are feeling, and truly whatever we are in fear of, that's going to show up in some way. So, everything is a lesson, everything is a mirror, whether we like it or not. It's the hardest thing to be like, I didn't create that. And it's like, well, you kind of did.
Well, especially when we're laughing, but especially when it's dark, like you don't think that you could have created that,
Right.
but it's like, we can all take responsibility and just think, okay, well, what maybe was my part in it, and how can I heal our communication or the love that I feel, or release the judgment?
Yes, that's the big one. You just said it. It's release the judgment, and raise the energy. And you just reminded me, I worked with a family, and their daughter was about 17 at the time, and she was banging her head into the wall and, like smoking pot and, running out of the house and cutting like
Oh,
everything,
cutting and
everything.
everything. Wow.
And she had been to therapist after therapist. And when we got together, and I will never forget, because I can remember where I was sitting talking to the parents. I said to the parents, and I honestly thought if they could like get through the phone and strangle me, that they would at that moment. But I said to them, you must see the health in your daughter.
Ah, that's so beautiful.
And
And stop focusing on the negative.
yeah,
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
carry
yeah.
on.
And you're so cute. I can't stand it. We're so fun together. I'm loving
I'm
this.
excited.
I know, it's fun. It's fun.
Tell me what's
I
next.
know, it's fun. It's fun. So that was, such pushback from the dad and the mom. It was a very, very difficult conversation to have. But I was like, I was adamant about it. They're like wanting to strangle me. And I was adamant, you must see the health in your daughter, because underneath this reaction that she's having, she is whole and healthy. Now, today, if you spoke to the parent, she would tell you, at the time, I wanted to strangle you, and that was the best advice you ever gave me. Because over time, just being repetition, because I wouldn't let go. I was like, no, this is the way. You must see the health in your kid. You must see the health in your kid. You must see the health in your kid.
And they
And
kept
they did.
up to you. So they knew there was something, a little bit of truth, but they weren't
Yes.
quite
Yes.
ready to embody it, to actually practice it.
Yes. But they did eventually. It didn't happen overnight, but
Right.
I wouldn't let go. I was like a dog with a bone, because it is the answer, right? Because we are, energetically, we have a part in creation. So it is our job to see the health in our kid, no matter what they're doing, to see that, that beautiful diamond, to see their essence is whole, no matter how the personality is reacting and responding, no matter what, they're whole. So now, their daughter, their whole relationship has shifted. Their daughter's doing amazing. She didn't have a good relationship with the dad. Now she has a beautiful relationship with the dad. She's going to work with him. She's not doing any of that craziness anymore. It's like everything shifted. Didn't happen overnight, but they were consistent. I was consistent. We were consistent. Boom. And that's how it works. And that's the hardest thing to tell parents, because so often they just want to blame the child. The child's making me crazy because I can't handle this, because it's like, no, you've got to shift the way that you're seeing the kid. It's not easy, but think about it. When somebody's worried about you, you feel that energy. And then unconsciously, you're like, well, if they're worried about me, there must be something to worry about. And then unconsciously, you're acting from that state of worry. So you're like falling over your feet, you're tripping over your feet, because then you're feeling that nervous energy and you're delivering on it, right?
Oh, I see. Okay. So what was the timeline from when you sent that message? You told the
Yes.
parents,
Yes.
see their child as whole, as healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you remember how long it
I
took?
am
Because
going to say, things started to turn around. I worked with her probably for about 6 or 9 months. But things started to turn around, I would say after about 3 months, things started to get
that is
better.
incredible. Where
Yeah.
they started to notice like a difference in her
Yes.
behavior.
Yeah.
So I just have some questions
Mhm.
about your credentials too, because they have been to like a therapist, a psychologist,
Yeah.
and you are a
Right.
mindset expert, right? You're not a
Yeah.
psychologist or a
No, my
psychotherapist.
degree's in music, for God's sakes. I mean,
For
let's
God's
just call a
sakes.
spade a spade. But I,
No, but you
I'm,
know what you're talking about.
yeah, I mean, I went down this rabbit hole about almost 20 years ago, and I didn't let go. I was like a dog with a bone, because I was like, wait a second, we are being fooled. And I will tell
Mm,
you, I remember my mom said to me, well, Andy, why don't you go back to school for psychology? And I remember
mm.
I said to her, Mom, because I don't want to study what's wrong with people. I want to study what's right with people. And
Boom.
boom, I know, drop the
Mic
mic. Bye-bye.
drop.
I know. So then, like about 9 months after that conversation with my mom, I ended up coming across Robert Holden, who was my first teacher. Now, Robert Holden was the creator of the Happiness Project, which at the time was the only scientifically proven method to raise your level of happiness. Now, he is a psychologist that went to school for psychology and said, why is there 1 hour on happiness and everything else is
Ah,
on every problem I can have? And he
ah.
had his wake up call. So he was like my first teacher where, I went to London to study with him. He was in New York. I followed him to New York, and I was running around. I did all of his, everything I could do. I got on the plane. I went and did, because
Okay.
it resonated so deeply with me. But it was interesting because intuitively I knew that is not the direction that I wanted to go in. So, and now the more, I self-educate myself. I mean, I've done, 5,000 certifications now, but none of them in actual psychology, because it just didn't make sense to me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I know there's a
Mm.
tremendous value, but
Right.
for me, for my part in the world, I knew that that did not make any sense for how I
Wow.
was showing up in the world.
You're just blowing my mind right now. And I remember this concept that you're talking about, to see your child as whole, as how I don't know, like a greater being, like their divine self. And I remember reading about this in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes,
He did
yes,
this with his own child.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
getting bad grades, having bad behavior, and they did your advice. Him and his wife, they
Okay.
saw their child as whole, as perfect and smart. They actually saw the genius in them. And
Yes.
then their son stepped into those shoes, those expectations. And there's so many studies also of teachers when they see the kids in the classroom as geniuses, then the kids do better in school. It's like there's so much research to support the way you're coaching.
Yeah, yeah. It's just true. I mean, I think from my own life, when I got my first job in radio, I was in radio sales when I was in my 20s.
Mm.
And the first person that hired me, Steve Judy, I remember I went to the interview and he said to me, you know what? In 6 months, you're going to be the top salesperson here. And I was like, he
Oh,
believes in me. I didn't know what I was
oh
doing.
my God, that is so
He
amazing.
believes in me. Within 6 months, I was the top salesperson. He believed in me. I felt that energy. He was my mentor. He was my boss. So
Oh,
I was feeling that energy. So, and it's so funny because I didn't even correlate that to what we're talking about
your
now
own
until you
life.
open that window. But yeah, it's because everything is energy, and because there really is no out there. It's totally our own individual experience.
Mm.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so wonderful that you went back to your own experience. Where was that? Where did you grow up? Or where
Well,
did
I
you
grew
work?
up in Philadelphia, but my first radio job was in Charleston, South Carolina. I lived
Oh,
there for about 2 years.
oh, okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So how can parents, now that we realize that we're the problem, I'm just kidding.
Well,
How can we
okay.
guide our children to discover their truth?
Again, the answer is always leading by example and truly seeing their wholeness and health. If we buy into the stories of, and this is not easy, but if we buy into the stories of social media is ruining them, or, they're always the odd kid
Mm.
out, or, they're going to be affected by, drugs or alcohol or whatever we
Yes.
perceive, they're going to have a hard time with that. They're a little insecure, so I'm a little nervous for them to go to high school.
Uh-huh.
When we buy into all those things, they feel that energy. They absolutely feel that energy. I think the biggest teacher for me is probably my parents, and obviously, and my parents are amazing. And I will tell you this, that I just remember when I would feel my dad worrying about me, I would think, I would feel that, and
Oh, yeah.
that was a big thing for me. But
My
I
mom
also,
was a worrier too. My dad, whatever, he could care
yeah,
less, but yeah.
yeah, you feel that. And
Hmm.
it was like, I noticed how powerful that is, you know? And just because, we understand how energy works, and we understand that we are projecting, literally, we are projecting our reality based on what we
Um,
believe to be true.
yeah.
So innocently, we don't do this consciously, but innocently, if we think, our kid's going to show up less than, they're going to show up less than. And I'm not
Mm.
saying that this happens overnight, but if one were to do an experiment and really change the way, and because I've seen it with families, and that one family is coming to mind because that was a very extreme situation. And,
Yeah, but this is
it
a
would definitely,
miracle. You saved
yes,
their lives. You've saved this teen's life and the parents. It's amazing.
thank you. Thank you. It
Yes,
wasn't me, just channeling whomever showing
handling
up, but
the
you know what I
message,
mean?
but yeah,
Thank you.
I know. I know you're so humble,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
really, of
But
course.
if we would like take the time to see this very deep truth, the problem is that the world doesn't champion this truth. The world shows us, the world points us in the direction of it's an outside in world. So the problem is always fixing something outside of us. Now, we know in this conversation that that's not true, that there actually is no outside, that everything is a projection of what we're thinking and feeling and believing. So with that very deep truth, when you put that into practice, and it does take devotion to put it into practice, your world must change.
Mm.
It's a law. It's a universal law. Your world must change when you change what you are thinking, what you are believing, what you are seeing. When you gain that new perspective, when you see the health in someone, they must, all boats rise with the tide. All boats
Wow.
rise with the tide.
I
So
wonder if we can do that, even just like people in a hospital, relatives in a hospital, seeing their health, seeing their
totally,
truth. Yeah, it's so amazing.
yes,
It's mind blowing how many ways we can apply it.
yes,
Help.
yes, yes.
And
It's
and I don't know if we already went over this, but what's the most common mistake you see parents making today that's stifling teens?
um, I would say it's the way that they are seeing them, the way that it's not seeing their health, really. It's
Okay.
not
Okay.
trusting
So
them.
it does
It's
tie
not
into what we talked
totally, yeah. It's not trusting that they are made of the same stuff that we are.
about.
It's just
Yeah.
not trusting that. That's what creates the discord. And then the kids keep, you're like, oh, I don't trust my kid. Well, they continue to show up in a way where you say, oh, but I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is Zen success to you?
For me, the answers, it's a couple things. It's going within for all of the answers. It's not making a move unless it's coming from inspiration. It's taking time to quiet the mind. It's taking the pressure off. It's knowing that if you're in a low state of mind, if you feel as though your vibe is low, it's okay to just chill, that you don't have to change the world.
Mhm.
It's really learning to make all of your decisions from the inside out.
Mm. And do you feel like Zen success can be the same for parents and teens?
Absolutely. It's a redirect, it's a redirect, it's a redirect. Everything. I just did a commercial, it wasn't a commercial. It was an interview about this whole TikTok thing with the Girl Scout cookies. I don't know if I didn't know about it until this.
I don't know about it, but my daughter sells Girl Scout cookies, so maybe I
Oh,
need to know about this.
okay. So yeah, so I didn't know about it either, but this television station in New York contacted me about it to do a segment, because what was happening, excuse me, is that, these kids are going to the door and the moms are like, what's in the cookie? I can't have gluten, I can't have sugar. And, oh, I can't have that because I'll eat the whole sleeve. And, just like, oh, that they're evil. So
The cookies, yeah.
cookies are evil. So the segment was really about like, well, what is this teaching our kids?
Mm,
And right. So, it comes back to a couple of things. First of all, not taking anything personally, but the big thing was when I say pointing, it's like pointing kids back to their well-being, pointing
mm.
kids in that sense, it was pointing kids back to their why, because that whole TikTok thing was just taking them away from the whole point of selling Girl Scout cookies. Why are you involved in the organization? Bringing it back to what's joyful for them about being a Girl Scout. So
Yeah.
taking the attention away from what we don't want. But you see how the world magnifies a lot of things that we don't want, right? Like that became a
Yeah.
thing that it got airtime on a television station in New York City, for God's sake,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what is that doing? That's bringing attention to what we don't want. So we've got to be
Right.
pointers. Our job is to point, 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 and teach kids, listen, just because it's on TV or on TikTok or on Instagram doesn't mean that it's something that is worth giving any attention to, because what we focus on grows.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I'm glad that they interviewed
Yeah.
you to have your positive perspective on it. So do you want to share about your program that you have for teens?
So yeah, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. First of all, I'm going to make sure that you have it. We have a free download. It's 33 conversation starters that you can have with your kid. It's a wonderful option other than how was your day? Which sometimes
Oh,
that's all
yeah.
we can come
That's
up with.
like, yeah.
Right. You just get the same blank stare. It was fine, So this is just a way to open up and have deeper conversations with your kids.
Oh,
But
and I love the number 33 in my email is 333. Yeah. So,
of course,
yes.
like
So it's a
minds,
divine
like minds.
number.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Of course. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So we can
Yeah.
have that for our audience.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Oh, I
Yep.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Did you want to share anything else?
Yeah. So our program it's an 8 module program. It's, easily accessible. Obviously, it's online. So there's 8 videos and they're maybe 15 minutes long, and then it comes with a workbook. But what I think is really beautiful is there's coaching available with it as well, and we've made it like super crazy affordable so that anybody can get this coaching, where they can hop on a call once a week in a group and ask any questions that they have. But there's also support for the parents, because again, our big thing is please watch these modules together, because they're fun. We talk about like crazy tornado head lady, we make it cute and fun. And, we have a traffic light system to understand your moods and when you should respond and when you shouldn't respond and why. Because it's one thing to tell kids, don't respond when you're in the red. But when they understand why their bandwidth is actually restricted, they can't see their way out of a paper bag, they're not making any sense. Like, they're like, oh, it's not the right time for me to respond. But as a family, to have this language in the house, like, oh, I'm having a crazy tornado head lady moment, it just creates a much more fluid household, because everybody has a better understanding of how their mind works. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Oh my God. I love it. I
yeah.
feel like I don't know. I know you're marketing to teens, but also preteens. I feel like we
Oh,
can now. Oh,
yes.
we
Oh,
can.
totally. You know,
I think of
yes.
that, preteens too.
No, it actually, that's the actual like nugget right there is around like 11.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
when we did this in schools, we worked with middle school kids, and that's the age to get them.
Uh-huh.
That's really the age to get them. They totally get it as teenagers too, but
Yeah.
absolutely as young as like 11 to me is like let's get them here at 11, you know?
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my son's turning 12.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such a pleasure connecting with you and hearing about your programs, Shift Happens, and all you're doing to help the youth and parents. And I'll put your website and your gift and how to connect with you in the show notes. So thanks for joining me today on the show,
My pleasure.
Andrea.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. This was just so joyful and so much fun to talk with you and share with you. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to ZenSuccessShow.com to help you on your Zen success journey and join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.